So Police Minister Bheki Cele says mining houses must take responsibility for the rehabilitation of abandoned mines. He says police alone cannot fight the scourge of illegal mining in this country. Cele and Energy Minister Gwede Mantashe appeared before the National Councils of Provinces yesterday. And this comes after 8 women were gang raped while filming a music video at a mine dump in Krugersdorp just last month. For more on what was said, let's speak to the Deputy Chairperson of the NCOP, Sylvia, who joins us via our video link this morning. And it's great to have you on the program. Thanks so much indeed for making time to chat to us. Broadly speaking, are you satisfied with some of the explanations and answers that you received from both ministers yesterday?
Good morning and good morning to your viewers. We are it is a mixed bag of issues. So we are partly satisfied. What we are satisfied with, I can say, is that, remember, we called 3 departments. Yesterday we called 3 ministries. There is Home Affairs, there is Police, and there is also Mineral Resources and Energy. And what we wanted to know is that this is a recurring issue, particularly the issue of illegal mining, but also the issue of the social ills that is being actually linked to this specific issue. So what we wanted to know is that how are government going to make sure that they combine their efforts and make sure that the approach is more coordinated with regards to the issues that is actually plaguing people for a very long time. I am from the Northern Cape, for instance, and I think around about 2016 we had the same problem where there was illegal mining, not necessarily the crime part of rape and murder and so on. This just escalates the issue. But it was the issue of people that the mine have fallen in, and some of the people died. So people in the meetings that we have attended are mentioning that this issue of illegal miners, but they are what they call the zamazamas, particularly in the Krugersdorp and the Western area, it's more than 50 years that they are experiencing this kind of issues. So what we are saying is that how do you make sure that you have an integrated approach to these issues? And we agree with the fact that it is necessary that the private sector should come on board, but also the issue of illegal immigration. How is it going to happen? So what I can say, it is for us, it's a mixed response. We are satisfied with some of the issues that have been responded to, but we are not necessarily satisfied with the total picture of what is escalating from this issue.
Tell us a bit more about the latter, because I'm sure as a body that's meant to hold the executive accountable, part of what you also want to know is why it's taken so long for us to even give this much attention to an issue that community members have been raising for decades, as you've mentioned.
They have definitely raised it for decades. And one of the explanations that was given by the Minister of Mineral Resources and Energy is that they at least are attending to at least 40 unused mines per year to make sure that they close it off and make it safe and secure it. But the problem is that there is not necessarily let me put it in the words that I was thinking, is that we don't enforce our legislation enough, because there is a clear agreement when anyone get a mining license as to what must happen even at the end of the lifespan of that specific mine. But some of the mine bosses get away with murder by not making sure that they actually rehabilitate the whole mine where they've been operating, and also not making sure that it is secured so that it is very much difficult for anyone to go back into that specific mine to begin to do illegal mining, because in fact it's not only having an impact on the social fiber of the country, but it's having a major impact on the economy because of issues like illicit flows, because that, if at all, that mines are still economically viable, it means that kind of sources of income should be there for job creation, not only for job creation, but also for making sure that that kind of income is redistributed into the economy of South Africa, particularly in the current circumstances that is prevailing in our country.
If Minister Mantashe is conceding in part that part of the reason why we're here is because of a lack of enforcing legislation that exists, what does Parliament think ought to be the repercussion for that?
And it's exactly the issue that we have said, that, the centre won't hold if everyone doesn't take its responsibility to make sure that they begin to address the issues. And I mean, you can't explain the fact away that there is an opportunity for wrongdoing. There is an opportunity for people to get into this kind of criminal activity, because that is exactly how even the Minister of Mineral Resources as well as the Minister of Police termed the issues of illegal mining as definitely not part of artisanal mining, but it is a criminal activity. Now, from the side of Parliament, we would love to see what is the kind of remedies that is being put in place. But according to the explanations that we are getting, is already from the side of the police that there is a special task team to address issues of criminality. From the side of Home Affairs, that immigration, particularly illegal immigration, is an issue. So they have at last put up the Border Management Agency, and already they have brought some border guards. But we must also not take away from the fact, and that is now what I personally observe, we must not take away from the fact that South Africans have generally become a little bit lawless, in the sense that those that are responsible to make sure that they enforce law and order is sometimes the culprits that are being bribed, that are corrupt, and that are not making sure that we are safe in our country. And that is the moral issue also that need to be addressed. So we need really a broader approach that will come to the fact, and that is what we are recommending from the side of Parliament. Show us results, show us what you are going to do, or otherwise someone will have to take responsibility.
I mean, some people might argue that we're there already. Someone needs to already take responsibility, because as you've already mentioned, it's taken us years to get here. Not much has been done.
Yes, but you know, just to be fair to those that are there now, in the way they are explaining, for instance, in the past 3 years, that is what Mineral Resources and Energy are telling us. In the past 3 years, they have been able, with the resources at their disposal, they have been able to secure at least 135 unused and derelict mines through their own means.
Yes.
So,
but I mean, sorry to interrupt you, but I mean, on the same breath, the minister then went on to say, if they keep going at this rate, it'll take 17 years to close all the mines.
So what is the remedy? It's immediately what we're asking. And that is why I think they are already engaging some of the private sector companies, some of those that are responsible, that are still operating within South Africa. They are already engaging them, and they are already getting commitments from some of them. So for us, to be very fair, you need to give a process, a chance to develop. But then now, there should be time frames, and there should be cut-off dates to say, but this is the kind of commitment that we got, this is the kind of money that is available. But there was a kind of report that I'm just not now privy to the names of the companies that came to the party, and that they've committed that they will contribute to make sure that they begin to address that specific issue.
How much more of a chance do you think the affected communities here should give stakeholders like the ministers to finally get to the bottom of this issue? If you're calling for yet another chance 50 years down the line, how many more chances do you reckon communities can reasonably give until something else has to give?
If at all it depended on an individual like myself, I know what I would respond it. But I'm a responsible member of a team, and if the team agrees that there is still some time that people can be given to respond to issues, then we need to all agree. People are very impatient, and as Parliament we are also impatient, because sometimes we discuss these issues. For instance, if I can mention something that you have not even mentioned, that is the issue of laboratories for forensic testing and so on. So people will tell you, but we've got all the remedies, we've got all the people, we've got all the equipment and all of that. But there is still a backlog. How do you address that issue? So some of the issues are like, we've lost patience with the kind of things that are happening. But if the team agrees that fine and well, you are telling us you've got the necessary equipment, you have recruited the necessary people, can we in 6 months' time see a better result? And that is the agreement. So let me tell you, that is the kind of resolutions that we take in a reasonable fashion. But if at all it was up to communities, but people are also reporting to us that communities are saying, we feel that really we see now. But now, I mean, people will tell, after so many years, you are speaking about now what has been happening. So something must happen for a reaction to get it. And I think we need to be more proactive.
Sure.
We need to move away from the fact that being reactive when something has happened, then we come with plans that have been in place. But it is a problem of enforcement and implementation and making sure that plans bear the necessary results and success that we expect from them.
Very quickly, Deputy Chair, does the NCOP believe that the army should be deployed to some of these communities, at least as an interim measure?
The one thing that I should say that I like about the approach that is an integrated approach is the fact that we assess issues from time to time. I don't know if the police are deployed to address a certain issue and they say they've got specialized task teams and so on. I don't know, is it very good to in a time where there is a response to bring in the South African National Defence Force. You know, we brought the South African National Defence Force in the Western Cape. People were just complaining in the end about the cost of the operation. But people were not necessarily understanding the fact that the South African National Defence Force was there, was kind of bringing a kind of a peacekeeping in spite of issues of people feeling that SANDF is being used to do the work of the police. It is not necessarily that the police are failing, but if the South African National Defence Force can actually create a kind of an environment wherein which the police can operate and execute their task, yes, indeed. But if the South African National Defence is seen as a kind of a skopskiet and donder, then we will have a problem with that. Because remember, there is also our human rights regime. There is also our human rights regime. So for now, I think, yes, indeed, let us assess the situation, and if necessary, let the South African National Defence Force be brought in as a peacekeeping effort, but not as an effort to escalate the situation in terms of bringing in kind of forced or high-handed force within the area.
All right. Sylvia Lucas, thanks for your time. Really do appreciate it here on the AM Report. Sylvia Lucas, of course, is the Deputy Chairperson of the National Council of Provinces in Parliament. Once again, thanks very much indeed.